This is called Disarm.
When you do the song Disarm, when you say I used to be a little boy, it kills me.
This is a brand new song from them, Disarm.
You were innocent and you were pure and you should have been the joy of your father's life and the joy of your mother's life. And in my mind, you're saying, I used to be a little boy, and why the fuck couldn't you guys treat me right? Now, I'm sure that's not what your intent was, but that's what it means.
No, actually it was.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be discussing the Smashing Pumpkins song Disarm, and it's banned from the BBC. As previously stated, this video will be discussing some sensitive topics, so please don't watch if you're not in the right headspace. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, MCR5 2024, it's so on. It's so happening, you just gotta believe. Before we can talk about the Smashing Pumpkins band song, we obviously need to establish who the Smashing Pumpkins are. This will just be a very basic overview as they truly don't need an introduction. The Smashing Pumpkins are a rock band from Chicago, fronted by Billy Corgan. They're one of the best-selling bands of the 90s. Some of their most popular songs include 1979, Bullet with Butterfly Wings, and Today. I promise you that you've heard at least one of their songs, even if you didn't know it was by them. They're constantly on the radio, in media, and are still popular on social media today. Their TikTok account is so good, by the way. If you're not familiar with it, I would defo go follow it. As a My Chemical Romance stan, I obviously have to bring up how heavily inspired My Chemical Romance is by Smashing Pumpkins. If there was no Smashing Pumpkins, then we may never have had My Chemical Romance. That's how huge their legacy is.
The video for Today came on, and I just saw the ice cream truck, and Billy Corgan was driving the ice cream truck, and I was just like, I was all in from that minute on, you know. I was just kind of like captivated. That song's very much a love letter, I think, to the Smashing Pumpkins a little bit.
I think it goes without saying that I obviously am a fan of Smashing Pumpkins, one of the best bands of all time, and if you haven't listened to them for some reason, please go check them out. You will not regret it.
Well, you know, about around the time that Pumpkins formed in 1988, I fathered a child, and now that he's so successful, of course, this lead singer from My Chemical Romance, when I saw the success he was having, I wanted to get back in the game and rock out with my son. Oh, yeah.
So we know who the Smashing Pumpkins are, but what's the BBC? Get your mind out of the gutter, it's the British Broadcasting Corporation. Now, if you're not British, first of all, good for you, seriously, but secondly, the whole "Oi mate, you got a license for that TV" meme is relevant here. The BBC is funded by the people through a mandatory license fee. Not paying this fee but then watching the BBC is a criminal offence. Yes, really, I'm telling you all of this to point out the fact that the BBC is a chartered monopoly in the UK. It's not just some popular broadcaster here, it's the broadcaster here. Now, the BBC ran a programme called Top of the Pops. It was a music show which featured popular artists and bands, and it ran for over 40 years. It mostly existed in a pre-internet Britain, and so being featured on this show was huge for artists. At its peak, 19 million people tuned in to Top of the Pops. It was massive. And yes, to address the elephant in the room, Jimmy Savile did present the show for a number of years. Yes, our mandatory license fees did in fact pay Savile.
It was banned by the BBC, and I got plenty of yelled at behind the scenes because I refused to change the lyrics, the circumstances of which would take the story into another direction. But if you want to see why the song was banned by the BBC, please look it up, because it's a horrific thing that happened. But I refused. I'm not changing my lyrics. This song is about me. After everything I've been through, there was going to be no compromise, because this song was my testament to what I'd survived.
You even say Disarm is probably the first song you ever wrote really about yourself, and it was probably the most revealing song about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we know who the Smashing Pumpkins are, and we know what the BBC in Top of the Pops is, but why would the BBC ban the song? That might seem shocking to you, but the BBC actually has a long history of banning songs. Let's go over a few. Monster Mash, a Halloween classic, was banned for being, and I quote, too morbid. Creep by Radiohead was banned for being too depressing. Insert joke about how living in the UK is far more depressing than Creep ever could be. Eliza Doolittle was forced to change the lyrics to her song, Walking on Water, because the line, "Sometimes I wish I was Jesus," was deemed blasphemy and banned. Britain is predominantly atheist, and so that one is extra confusing. Obviously, it's standard for the media to adhere to some guidelines, such as bleeping out swear words before a certain time, but the BBC goes beyond expected censorship in my opinion. This makes the Smashing Pumpkins ban less surprising, but let's get into the actual reason why it was banned. Are you ready for this? The line, "Cut that little child." That's the reason it was banned. No swearing, no offensive words, nothing worthy of a ban in my opinion. However, it has been suggested that this line was scrutinized extra hard because the song was released the year after James Bulger was unalived. Yes, the irony of having to censor my wording in a video on censorship is not lost on me, but I have to do it unfortunately. The James Bulger case is notorious because the perpetrators were two 10-year-old boys and James was only 2. However, this theory has never been confirmed, but I can see why people assume that they're linked. Billy has stated that he was given the option to modify his lyrics so the song could be played on the BBC, but he declined. As a result, the song received virtually no airplay in the UK across any radio stations. The BBC said no, and the rest of the stations just kind of followed it, no questions asked. Despite this, though, the song reached number 11 in the UK singles chart. Disarm has become a fan favourite song, and it's easy to see why. Here's some of the comments left on the music video on YouTube. There's something truly empowering yet heartbreaking about this song, and how he's choosing to no longer let his trauma hold him back. He's proving he will not continue in cycle and will not let his parents torment him any longer. He chose happiness, and that's beautiful and heart-wrenching. This song brings back the feelings of your traumatic childhood, but somehow soothes those feelings at the same time. It's a strange, sad and beautiful sensation. This song is a wonderful piece of artistic expression. Sitting here just crying for I don't even know, everything that hurts, all those wounds sustained as a child that never heal and just gape over time. I see you all.
Because, as parents, we look at our children and we, if we come from abuse, we look and say, how did they do that to me? I mean, at some point you have to reconcile that. And I still to this point don't understand it.
And that's it for today's video. Thank you for joining me. If you're not already subscribed, then please do subscribe. I post new videos weekly. Also, if you have any topics you'd like me to cover, then please let me know in the comments down below. And as always, stay beautiful, keep it ugly.